Thank you and welcome to the show for today. You are watching Perspectives and I am host Alana McLaughlin. This morning on the show I have Reverend Dr. Matthew Santana here to discuss his impact, his background, the work that he does in the local Tennessee community, Santana Global, all that it encompasses, and ultimately the impact that Matthew seeks to leave on Tennessee communities. Matthew, thank you for joining me this morning, and thank you for just sharing your time and your perspective with me.
No problem.
You're actually a returning guest, which is super cool because I love to kind of get people back in here to really kind of dive into the things that they began here on Perspectives. And so thank you again for this opportunity. And to get this first segment rolling, I want to talk baby Matthew years, set up kind of what that early childhood, those baby years looked like. Tell me what family looked like and set that up for me.
So it started off being premature. I was 1 pound, 3 ounces, and they said I wouldn't make it overnight. So, you know, I used that as my go-to. If I'm feeling down, if I'm feeling like I can't do it, like I got a second chance. So I'm using that every day to keep on going, to push myself, to strive to do better than myself. So growing up in a Christian household, you know, that's all I've seen, that's all I know. So that's what I fall back on, to keep on going, to keep pushing myself.
Now tell me kind of what family looked like. Did you have siblings? Kind of tell me what mom and dad did. Were you close with them? Sundays, were y'all at church?
Yes.
Just kind of set up those kind of wholesome things for me.
Church was every day, so no matter who house I was at, you know, we was always at somebody's church. So I have one brother, one older brother, and then 2 younger sisters. And then my mom and dad, they, you know, always supported me, was always there, and to this day they're still, you know, calls every day, making sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do.
Now, I can relate to that, man. Now, set up for me adolescence into college. Kind of tell me some of the things that you went through as that adolescent, some of the things that shaped you, ultimately leading to you pursuing a doctorate in Christian counseling. And we're going to talk about what that looks like. But set up for me that schooling, those middle school through high school years, and kind of tell me what that looked like.
It started off rough. You know, they say hurt people hurt people. And when you see that and you're around that and you're growing up, that's what you pick up on. But, you know, I learned early at the age of 15 that, you know, I don't want to hurt people and I don't want to see other people that I care about hurt. You know, so I strive then to make a difference.
And when you say hurt people, this doesn't have to be specific to you, but tell me just some of the things that we see our teenagers experience and some of the things that hurt them, and then some of the ways that they spread that negativity and that anger to their peers. I know in an earlier segment I just talked about gun violence, and we talked about how angry children are witnessing gun violence. They're victims of it, and they turn around and now they're the perpetrators. Right. And so tell me kind of some of the things that you witnessed with our...
a lot of domestic violence. So the things that you see, you start to become that at an early age. You know, kids are very impressionable. Right. So they see that, and when they see that, they, you know, mimic that. Right. So they're very good at mimicking what they see, and they pick up on that, and that's who they become. Unless you know, you don't want to become that. So I didn't want to become, you know, another person hurting somebody else.
You're right.
So I strive to change that and help people that's been through domestic violence and sexual assault how to heal and become better.
Now tell me, again, this is like the latest adolescence. This is now, you've gotten the idea of pursuing Christian counseling. Tell me what inspired that, kind of tell me what schooling for that looked like, and about that experience.
So growing up, you know, in the church, so that's all I seen. So that's what I wanted to become, you know, so helping people at an early age, it really meant something. You know, they say when I hug people, it'd change, you know, how they're feeling. So, you know, I offer grief counseling services, you know, for funerals and things like that. And I just go and just hug people all day, you know. So no matter what somebody's going through, you know, a hug can change their whole mood, their whole mindset. So going to school, you know, started off for, you know, business. And I was like, you know, I have to do more. I want to do more, you know. So I started to empower people. And motivate people. So I was like, you know, I got to do more. So Christian counseling became something that I wanted to do for families, for people's marriages, and things like that.
And I know that your call to the ministry came around that 2020, 2021 era. Now tell me about becoming ordained and really what life has looked like for you since that era.
It's a process. It's a process. And it seems like, you know, the more that I help people, the more I change people's lives, you know, the enemy attacks me. So I have to make sure that I'm strong within myself, my mindset, and keep going, you know, and get out of the fixed mindset and change it to a growth mindset. So I want to keep on growing and elevating and helping other people. people, become who they want to be in this life, because we only get one life to live.
You're right. And I love that. That's one of your biggest quotes. You only get one life to live, and it's true. And now, Matthew, in our second segment, we're going to pick back up on going from that fixed mindset to that growth mindset. We're going to talk about how you yourself kind of use these same mechanisms. We're going to talk about the work that you do with both men and women in the local Tennessee communities. And ultimately, I encourage our viewers to tune into the second segment of Perspectives, where Matthew and I will be discussing Santana Global, all that he's done, the work that he has kind of shared with local Tennessee communities, and ultimately the impact that he seeks to leave on our beautiful community.
My daughter started making
Segment of the show for today. For viewers just tuning in, I am host Alana McLaughlin. You are watching Perspectives. This morning on the show, I have Reverend Dr. Matthew Santana here discussing his background, his education, the work that he's done in our local community, and ultimately the impact that he seeks to leave through this work. In our first segment, Dr. Santana kind of set up who he was as a child, kind of set up some of the things that he witnessed, and ultimately things that shaped him into the man and to the minister that he is today. In our second segment, we're exploring Santana Global. Santana Global is a company that I'd like to call an enterprise. It encompasses books, mentoring, personal growth, activities. There's a lot going on with Santana Global, and I'm going to let Matthew tell us a little about that. And ultimately, in our second segment, we're just coming right back in, Matthew. We're talking about, Lord have mercy, you see all this stuff in our hands, and I just want you to take the reins from here. Tell me about some of the things in your hand. Tell me their purpose, their mission, and we're just highlighting Matthew.
All right. So basically, I've learned healing through writing. So there's a lot of different ways that people heal, that they deal with grief. So I found that writing is easy for me. So I help other people transform, their healing into writing. So there's different magazines. So I have a cookbook that me and my grandma wrote. So it also tells a story, as well as, recipes that, my grandma made. Randy the Raccoon, that one it's a children's book, but it helps adults as well. And all these books, no matter what it is, it helps people open a door to themselves, and it helps you find out who you really are. They're a credit manual, so it's personal and business. It's all about yourself. Tons of women empower themselves. They become grateful for the things that they've learned that I've taught them, and they learn how to heal. So now they're helping other people heal. So not only do you get the healing and the new version of yourself, you're helping other people find out who they are.
Matthew, I just sat in a seminar, and the purpose of the seminar was to talk about ways that we can use our gifts to elevate the kingdom. And that is exactly what you're doing. You are taking the gifts, the spiritual gifts that you've been given, and giving back unto people, as opposed to, gatekeeping or closing these doors. And I just think that that's awesome. In my hand, I have magazines. I have quite a few magazines. I see that this is the May-June Volume 2, Issue 4. Now, who's on the cover?
So that one, Altavia Fonville, and she's under me. I'm mentoring her, and she's great at what she does. She's becoming a counselor, and she's also helping other, men, women, and children heal from what they went through.
Oh my goodness. Now this one, I see a princess on this cover. Is this Linda Edwards?
Yes, that's my mom.
Oh my goodness, she's beautiful. Now tell me, what inspired you to kind of have mom on the cover?
So, I was helping my mom write a book, and after reading her story, I found that we have a lot in common. The way that she grew up, the things that she went through, and it just brought us close. At first, when I read the book, I shed a few tears, and I couldn't do it. But after, publishing the book and realizing that we, had a lot in common, we just didn't speak about it. You're right. So publishing her book really helped me heal. I learned a lot, about who she was and how she grew up and things like that.
And Matthew, I have to ask, any advice to just anybody watching this who seeks to know more about their mother, seeks to kind of strengthen that connection? Do you have any suggestions?
You have to open that door.
Yeah.
Be prepared for anything.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to ask questions.
Yeah.
If you want to know, if you want to heal, if you want to better yourself, open that door. Don't be afraid and go for it.
Thank you, Matthew. That's beautiful. Now, who's this pretty lady on this one?
That's my sister, my youngest sister. And she's doing everything she can to, kind of follow in footsteps. She has her own business as well. So it seems like, you know, everybody in the family is watching me doing the things that I'm doing, and I'm showing them how easy it is.
And
so they're doing great things as well.
And Matthew, I'm flipping page to page. How awesome! I see that there are a bunch of just different ads and different articles and promotional pieces. How do people get in contact with you? Oh, I'm familiar with the National Fashion Week. That's so cool. But this is awesome that I get to see my peers and just other people, even strangers that I want to become friends with. This is amazing. And tell me kind of how you connect with different people across town to kind of promote them in this. Tell me, just a little about.
So basically, anybody can find me on Santana Global on all platforms, santanaglobal.com, or the service desk at Santana Global. And no matter what your story is, no matter what you've been through, no matter what your business is, we will help you grow and get that visibility and that credibility that you need.
Thank you, man. Look, because I'm already seeing in my head what I'm about to do with my life. Thank you. You've got a manila folder in your hand. What's in here?
So this is my gift to you and a few of your guests.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Oh, goodness.
So this one is for a Santana Global magazine feature. Ooh. And you get to give that to who you want to impact their lives.
Well, I'll be there, Matthew. What?
Here we have a Santana Global Business Visibility Package where they get a 3-day digital billboard, a press release, and a feature on the front cover of Santana Global magazine.
Oh, this is Christmas, Matthew.
They get $400 off Santana Global Publishing Package.
Oh, what?
And then also Santana Global Magazine featured ads. They get 4 of those.
Well, viewers, hey, if you want to get in on something like this, you need to start calling now. Matthew, where do you learn this stuff? I mean, in this last about 2 minutes of the second segment, I have to ask, where are you learning this information? From the billboards to even just getting something like this in print. Where? Who?
I taught myself. As a kid, being sick a lot, you know, I was always in the house, couldn't go out. So all I did was learn, read books. And my grandma would take me to the library. And, you know, all I did was read and learn. So that's why I, you know, taught myself how to do, you know, marketing, advertising, websites, and building everything. So the magazine, I do it all, you know, by hand. And the digital billboards, that's another, you know, thing we offer for visibility. So it's all about helping people for me and empowering other people to know that I see you, I believe in you, and you can do it.
And Matthew, in our final segment, we're going to come back to just really talk about, oh my gosh, really current career. We've discussed the mission, the impact. We see the impact, we can feel the impact, but seriously, I just want to know ways that people can support you, ways that people can connect with you, and ways that people can take your teachings home. I think that everything that you've said is applicable to a million different careers, a million different lifestyles, and I appreciate that because it goes so far. It's not just for women or men or black people or people in Nashville. These are things that can be applied all across the board, and I encourage our viewers to tune into this very interesting episode, to tune into the final segment, to hear Dr. Santana just talk a little bit more about what he plans to do in Nashville and ways that we can support him. For viewers just tuning in, I am host Alana McLaughlin. You are watching Perspectives. This morning on the show, I have Reverend Dr. Matthew Santana here discussing his background, his education, the work that he does in the local Tennessee community, Santana Global, all that it encompasses, and ultimately we're talking about the impact that he seeks to have on our community, the ways that he is visible, that he is present and available in our community in ways that we can support him in his endeavors. In our first 2 segments, we talked about a lot. I encourage you to go back and watch this episode in full. But Matthew talked about just some of the books that he's written, some of the magazines that he has produced, and just ultimately the things that have shaped him into becoming a Christian leader, into becoming a man of substance, into becoming someone that men and women alike can rely on and can depend on in the Nashville community. And ultimately, in this final segment, we're talking about what Matthew has planned today. What does life look like for Matthew at present, and ultimately, how can we support him in his work? Matthew, what does a day in your world look like? Take me from waking up to going to bed. I don't even know how you find time to do all this. What does an average day look like?
Average day to me, I basically start off with prayer, you know, when I wake up and, you know, before I go to bed. And then after prayer, getting myself together, it starts off with my 4 cats. So Max, Mason, Mello, and Stella Marie. Emotional support animals. They help me do a lot of different things, and they also have books as well, as far as coloring books and things like that, for cat lovers. But after that, it's all about helping other people, making those calls, just checking in on people, you know, because you never know what someone else is going through.
Right.
You know, so I started off this morning, you know, in prayer and worship, fed the cats and things like that. And then I think one client, she called me 5 o'clock this morning. Oh, Dr. Santana, I got my chapter. Or another one, I got my book ready. You know, it all starts off with these calls early in the morning because everybody's in different cities and states. So my line's always open. I'm always here, you know, a listening ear, whatever you need, I'm here for you, you know. So that's a daily start, you know. And then after work, it always, you know, computer time.
That electronic time.
Yes.
Now, Matthew, throughout all this work, throughout extending yourself to others, where do you find time for you? I know kind of through the cats and kind of through your like little points of relaxation, but seriously, I think that a man who does as much as you really has to prioritize that self-care because you're moving so quick that it's so quick to burn out.
Right.
And I'm really curious to see you smiling, to see you compose. Your hair's done, you got on clean clothes. I'm just wondering, I'm looking at you like, God, how did you and then the cats, like how did you get out of bed this morning? But seriously, tell me just some of the ways that you make Matthew happy, or things that make Matthew happy.
It's all about, you know, myself. It starts with me, and it's a lot of self-care, you know, so prioritizing my time, you know, with the cats and with the businesses and with family and things like that. I always put me first. It's okay to put yourself first, so that's what I do, you know. Start off with breakfast and things like that, and got myself together, as well as empower myself, look in the mirror and tell myself I can do this, you know, no matter what today brings, I'm still gonna come out on top. You know, so to always, you know, give myself those pep talks, that motivation that I can do it, you know, so no matter what comes my way, I'm going to keep on going.
And now tell me, I know that these are kind of the same things that you're telling kind of the men and the women that you work with. I specifically want to know about your kind of your domestic violence outreach and support with those individuals. That's a really sensitive group to work with. That's a group that's been highly traumatized, and that's a group who oftentimes people in domestic violence situations may often blame themselves. They don't feel like they deserve support or that support is accessible. And tell me kind of how you work with those populations of survivors.
I've ran into that a lot, and as a man, helping a woman that's been through domestic violence is hard. And when I, you know, do the speaking engagements, when I talk to people, I tell people that, you know, even though I'm a man, I can help you heal, you know, from what another man did or from what another person did. It's not about, you know, what they did. It's how you're going to change that and better yourself, how you're going to become the person that you need to be. And I tell women all the time, or, you know, well, you know, mainly women, I tell them, you know, I'm a man that helps women become women again after domestic violence, after that trauma, after that pain, how to heal. And then recently, I've just got a group of men that's ready to, you know, tell their story to help change themselves. You know, so they're ready. They're getting that breakthrough. They're ready to change.
And tell me about kind of working with these male populations, especially men seeking growth, seeking that personal growth. A lot of men, especially a lot of men in our community, are afraid to seek out those supports. They're due to shame or just due to anxieties. It's really hard to get our men to focus on their mental and physical health. And tell me, that's another sensitive population.
Right.
Tell me some of the things you witness with those men who are seeking that growth, some of the backgrounds they may come from, and kind of what they're seeking.
No matter what background there are, I'm always willing to help. So as long as they know that somebody's there to guide them through, to show them, you know, no matter what they've been through, you know, you can change. You can become the person you want to be, not what somebody else says you have to be.
You're right.
You know, so a lot of those men come from, you know, prison. I'm working with a client now that's in prison, and he's writing books. So he's
In prison?
In prison.
Wow. And is this something, did he have a love for this before being incarcerated? Is this something you kind of helped him foster? Tell me a little about working with him.
His mom, somebody referred his mom to me, and she said, my son has a story. So I was like, okay, I can help him. So, you know, we chat and talk and everything like that. And he's helping other people heal through his book and what he's been through. So another young person won't, you know, waste their life doing the same things that he did.
And is that kind of common with some of the men that you see? I know that this specific man is incarcerated, but do you see a lot of men who are trying to turn that new leaf?
Yes.
I think especially with the rise of social media in our present day, where you can really just get online and look for these groups and these supports, I think that we're seeing kind of a revolution in people who are choosing to better their lives. A lot of people like to go the spiritual route. Some people go the herbal or like holistic route. But I think that spiritual, specifically leaning into God and leaning into your faith, I think that has been, we're seeing a resurgence almost of people who are kind of choosing the word again. And I'd like to say, it kind of feels like the Jesus revolution that happened way back in the like 60s, 70s. But it feels like that youth are excited to go back to church. We see a lot of college, like youth ministries popping up at different HBCUs, different local colleges. And I think that it's a beautiful thing. And I didn't mean to go off into that whole tangent, but I just had to say that by you being at the front of this, it's God work. And that's beautiful because it's not the most rewarding.
Right.
It can often be tiresome, but you do it because you're called to. And Matthew, now I want to kind of use that to lead into, what do you see for the future? What do you plan to do? What that you haven't already done? and honestly, just tell me, what does the future look like for Matthew Santana?
A lot of traveling. So it's all about helping people heal, and that's what I want to do. So that's the plan, is to help as many people heal, start their businesses, become the person that they need to be, because you only get one life to live. Life is only for a moment. So I'm going to help you find your purpose, and I'm going to help you walk in your destiny. So that's the future that I see.
And now tell me, expansion, do you plan to expand the magazine, any websites, and on the kind of the digital end?
So I do global distribution. So we're on 40,000 different platforms. If you Google Santana Global or Santana Global Magazine, Walmart, Target, Barnes & Noble, or just Google Matthew Santana Jr., everything's going to pop up that I do. And it's, helping other people. So it's going to pop up. It's going to show not only my businesses or other people's businesses. It's going to show their books and their works as well.
And you just kind of jumped the gun by saying to Google, and you gave the email address earlier, but I want you to rehash those ways that people can contact you, and just give a few ways that maybe, is there a store for, where could someone pick up a physical copy of the magazine?
You want a physical copy, you can go to my website and I will mail it directly to you.
Oh, that's perfect. Now again, you rehash website, email address, social media.
That's going to be santanaglobal.com. All social media, Santana Global, and then if you're looking for me personally, Matthew Santana Jr.
And Matthew, thank you. To say thank you is not even enough, seriously, but I appreciate what you do in the community. And I'm just kind of an outsider looking in, so I can't even imagine the people who are truly battling, surviving domestic violence, surviving substance abuse, surviving mental illness, and you've been that beacon of light, that beacon of hope for them, and I appreciate that. I believe that that's one of the most beautiful things that you could do with your work and with your power, is to help others. And Matthew, with that said, I appreciate you, and to our viewers, I appreciate you. I appreciate being given the opportunity to share these wonderful stories, and I appreciate just the opportunity to start your morning off with a beautiful, unique perspective. Good morning.